Hey, y'all! Good day to you all. I'm so happy to be with you again today. How are you doing? Oh, so great to see your lovely faces. So great to listen to you again. So great to have you in the show. I'm super excited. And today, as usual, I want to ask you that one beautiful question. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? Are you fine? Are you truly fine? Are you really fine? Do you need to talk to somebody? Do you need to share your story? Do you need to talk to somebody? Do you need to cry? Cry if you want to cry. Be you, be real to yourself, tell yourself the truth, you know. So we like asking because a lot of people tend to not be okay, but just pretend to be okay. And when you ask someone, how are you? Go an extra mile to ask, are you truly okay? And I tell you, really, they're going to tell you, no, I'm not okay. Sometimes they burst into tears. Sometimes they're ready to share their story with you. Sometimes they just need a shoulder to place their head, to talk to. They need someone they can trust, right? So I don't know why I'm starting on this note today. And you know what? I also have the option to pray today. I don't know. It's so strong in my spirit to pray for somebody today, and I'll do that. So you're welcome to this episode of Grief to Grace. And I am your host, Ruth Hephzibah. Oh my God. I love I love my name, and I love the name Grief to Grace. Really. I'm always like moved because I'm always moved by how far God has brought me in this journey. I'm moved by the grace of God that He is taking me so far in this journey. I can smile, I can laugh, just so much. Today I was talking with someone, and we were just talking about grief and how people navigate grief, because he was telling me a story about someone who lost the son and could not have not been able to navigate grief in a healthy way and all that. And we were just sharing, and I had to share my story with this person and how God helped me and how God gave me those nuggets that I've been using to heal other people in this journey. You know, it's just so much, but I tell you, I think I need to start on that note first, which is you need to forgive, you need to forget, not necessarily, but forgive. Move on, take a new step, one step at a time. Accept the situation, which is the first thing, and next begin to share your story. So you accept, you forgive, you be real to yourself, you become you, be you, and you move to the next stage, you share your story. It may not really go in all this sequence, but this is the step that you need in this journey, and it will help you. And on that note, I want to tell you we are here at Grief to Grace to help you. And Grief to Grace aims to transform grief into grace, one story at a time, one healing at a time, one step at a time, one laughter at a time, one gratitude at a time. And that brings us to our story for today. And we have an incredible guest in the house who is navigating grief through gratitude. She is navigating grief through gratitude, and that is awesome because it is not easy to say thank you, God, to say, oh, I appreciate what you're doing. Oh, you killed my husband. You took him away. You killed my son. You took him away. That's how we see it most times, huh? You know, and you took my job, made life miserable for me, and you want me to say thank you, to be grateful? It's not easy. I tell you, it's not easy. But when we able to do that, what happens? We find joy, we find peace. So today we have someone who is going to share with us how she is navigating grief through gratitude. And just like we say every day, our mission here is to create that safe place where you can explore the depth of loss and find your way back to joy, right? So, through your personal stories, which we share every day here, we have through faith, through actionable strategies, and all the things that we do. We equip you to work through grief and reclaim your life back. That's why we have a project coming up soon, which is the Fresh Start project, which means you have to start one day at a time, have a fresh start. So, irrespective of where you are, just have a fresh start. It's a course which we're going to launch very soon, and it is on Fresh Start. So, before we delve into the moment of what we have today, I want to introduce again my book. My book, A Pen That Rewrites Grief. Are you ready to be that pen that rewrites grief? Hmm. This is a book that was born out of all that I used in navigating grief. So it's not just a collection of my grief, like storytelling of how I navigated grief. No, it is tools that I used in navigating grief, the interventions that I used in navigating grief. So, and I use it for myself, I use it for my kids, I still use them every day, you know, because healing starts with you. So it is an invitation for you to find healing by rewriting your own story. So you have a pen, you have the book. Like sometimes we say you have the yam and you have the knife and you cut it, you know where to cut it, right? You have the potato, you know how to dissect. You have the chicken, you know what to do. That's just it. So, are you ready to use your own pen to rewrite your grief? It is raw, it is designed to offer comfort and tools to those who are in the valley of loss. So, if you are looking to turn your pain into purpose, this book, A Pen That Rewrites Grief, is a guide that you need to help you find grace on the other side of grief. Yes, I said I was going to pray, but I'm going to do that when I invite my guest in and we take a short prayer. For somebody, I feel I have that unction in my spirit to just say a word of prayer for someone today. And then I know God is going to do something awesome in that person's life. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know how you're navigating it. I don't know what is happening in your life, but I know that one person that can change your story. I know one tool that can change your story, and that is prayer. So, today, without much ado, I have my guest in the house, and I'm bringing her up on stage for you to see. So I have this beautiful guest to the house today, and her name is Michelle Ferguson. And you know what? We have similar stories, though a little somehow, and is just so awesome. Knowing that God is doing great things in the life of people. So, Michelle Ferguson has walked through one of the darkest valleys unimaginable. In 2029, oh, sorry, in 2019, Michelle and her husband were both diagnosed with cancer just 6 months apart. And for 2.5 years, Michelle not only fought her own battles, but also cared for her husband through his. And after losing this same battle, you know, of her life partner, Michelle emerged not just as a widow, but also as a survivor who fought unexpected power in gratitude. So, I'm so honored to have her here with us today to share her own side of her story. Like I say every day, grief comes in so many faces, and your own grief is different from mine. Your own story is different from mine. It may look similar, but they are truly different. And that is why we share our stories here every day so that it brings healing to people. And I tell you, Michelle, the stories we share here, we get a lot of messages from people who have received healing from just listening to other people's stories. And they have been able to move on with their lives. They're beginning to realize that they can take that step again, they can move again, they can be great again. And that is why I'm so glad to have you in the house today. And how are you doing?
Thank you so much, Ruth, for having me. I'm so humbled and grateful to share this platform with you, to have the opportunity to share my story, the story between Sherry and I, and hopefully that with the aim that if our story resonates to one or two person that's similar situation or undergoing that they could find hope that they are not alone, and that what are the sharing the tools that I use in coping up, as what you said earlier, grief comes in many shape and form. For me, I grew up in the Philippines. I scuba dive, and I surf. So I look at grief as a form of a wave that it just comes and goes. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low, but it's there, and you learn to navigate it. And with my story, I navigated through practicing daily gratitude. And because with practicing daily gratitude, it helps me focus on what I have currently and not what I lost, the loss of my husband, my partner, the love of my life. And also at that same token, it's not that practicing gratitude that it means everything is la 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 la. It's not. I mean, I cried at the drop of a hat. I acknowledge all these emotions because it's there. It's just like, it makes you who you are. But it's how you process those emotions, this grief, and how gratitude helps it, like it's okay not to be okay. And so telling your story also helps the healing. And that's the reason why also, like, I wrote my book. It's to kind of help others. And also a couple of months ago, I started my own thing with gratitude journey with Michelle, and sharing the journey with the cancer, how we deal with the chemo treatment, etc., and how we talk about, when what because when you were diagnosed with cancer, it's not a matter of if, right? It's a matter of when. We know what's inevitable. So how we prepared ourselves, how we have this conversation, and always having it gratitude in the end. So I'm hoping that the goal is, and what I'm sharing is that if it happens to me, to us, it could happen to someone else, and that you are not alone, and we are in this community, and we could learn from each other and also have comfort from each other in this journey. So thank you for having me in this platform today. I'm humbled and really appreciate it.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. And please, the next voice you'll be hearing will be Michelle's voice, but don't leave, make sure you stay to the end of this episode for some exciting takeaways and also for the special gifts we give to our active listeners, and as well as taking away those three nuggets that we usually give out, and also our Bible story for verse for the day. And today we have a prayer. Thank you so much. So, Michelle, can you please share your powerful testimony of strength and love and gratitude and how your journey started and all that you went through?
Okay. All right. So my journey started. Okay. So I'll just begin back. Well, like back, I re-engineered it back before the cancer and everything. So my husband and I, we met way back in 1999 in Philippines. So we met in the Philippines. We get married in the Philippines. Different culture, different religious background. I grew up Catholic. He was raised Baptist. So etc. So from the very start, there's already this mixed culture, mixed religion. But we have this thing because growing up from a blended family, we always make this rule that we shouldn't go to bed angry. So we really have, so whatever we need to, we really have to talk. And that's really practicing the daily gratitude. It all even started before cancer. Like we always practice gratitude, like always survive because of the different culture, right? The challenges of mixed culture and marriages. So fast forward, we moved here in United States way back in 2003. We live the American dream. We have our business together. I have my own practice. Jerry has his own business. And in my book, I called it When Rags Get Pulled. So in 2019, we were 6 months diagnosed with cancer. Jerry was diagnosed on February 5th of stage 4 esophageal cancer with brain mets. And then, voila, 6 months after, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Hmm.
So being self-employed, you have these challenges already because you don't have fixed income, but now your expenses goes higher and higher, right? But so I was thinking, Jerry, what are we gonna do? And Jerry said, you know what, Michelle, let's use this phase to be grateful. It's really back to like gratefulness, also saying that we still have each other. We're gonna use the time that we have to prepare it with what's inevitable because it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. So what really cancer taught us is that it made our love grow stronger. So we didn't let cancer take the best out of us. And in the end, that cancer, we look at it as a gratitude. No one can say that I'm grateful for the cancer, right? Because the cancer makes our love stronger. It also helps me and him prepare if whoever goes first. So what I mean by that is that we created our own survival kit guide. So if he goes first, what shall I do? Like things that he does before, like when we were married, like one partner does this work, the other partner does that, right? Kind of division of labor. But when you become alone or a widow, then it's just you. So what are the tasks that I need to do when he's gone, or the tasks that I'm doing that he has to do when I'm gone? So we will not even be doing that if we were not having our cancer. And the thing also, when we had this chemo treatment and radiation and things, one thing I learned how to inject, how to, like, oh my God, I feel like a nurse because it was COVID at the time. So we don't have any help. It's just really me and him. That's it. Because yeah, that was the peak of the COVID as well. So we were just able to really be more self-reliant, and with God's grace and help, and of course virtually with the help of the friend, we're able to navigate it. So with cancer, our love becomes stronger. We were able to really prepare for the unexpected. We live each day as it our last. We have our themed dinner, like we dance, we eat, we laugh. We since we cannot travel, we put it at the at our backyard. So we didn't let it take the best out of us, and we have so many memories in those 2.5 years that we're battling cancer together. And unfortunately, he didn't make it, right? But I have so many videos of us laughing out loud, praying together, having even virtual prayer with some of our family back in Argentina or in Philippines. So it also brings us closer and also bridge the gap with our multicultural differences as well as religion differences. So that's why I say that cancer brings the best out of us, and we didn't let take cancer takes the best out of us. And after that, of course, grief comes after he passed away. I started writing my book, which is A Love Like Ours. It's based on our true story, and again with our hope, and my hope and Cherry's hope, that our story um, would help others navigating cancer, or if you are a caregiver, like, taking care of someone that's near and dear to you, like what you could do, how you could take care of yourself, and to prepare you also what lies ahead after that person that you care or your partner is no longer there to be with you, and what's life after. um so, but don't get me wrong, I've still cried in a drop of a hat last Wednesday. It's our supposed to be a 25th wedding anniversary, right? And there's just so many things that, so I cried for X amount of hours. And then I look at all the videos that we did, and I said, you know what? I'm grateful because I have this, that I know she's thinking, like, if I miss his voice, I could just play the video. If I miss how we dance together, we have this video. So things like this, that what gratitude really helped me is that it helped me focus on what I have instead of what I lost. And it's not easy, so every moment, every day when I wake up, I do my meditation, I do my prayers, and then I write down what am I grateful for, three things throughout the day, with the day. And then I wrote it down in my post-it, and I carry it with me in my wallet. So along the way, if there are ways that's high that I cannot, I feel like I'm like this, or I have some challenges, I reach out to that post-it that I wrote, and I read it out loud. What am I grateful for? And couple of seconds after, or repeated, then you just comes back that what are you grateful for. So that's how I navigate grief. I know that, you know each of us grieve differently, and I would love to hear also what are the tools that you have. But I've been a widow going on 3 years now, and by October it will be 3 years. And before that, again, I was practicing, or still practicing gratitude, but not in a grief way. But from since October 2021 until now, I practice gratitude more on the grief side as well, because it just really, like, the thing with grief, sometimes you just hear a song or something and it just comes back and then you cry. And I think Ruth can attest to that as well from some experiences, that it just kind of happened. Or you're driving, like, for 2 weeks, you're really okay, and then one of them, like, oh my gosh, like, you just, or like, and not even, you don't even know the reason, that they're just like something, when you try to analyze it or try to, like, focus, like, what was the trigger. Because one thing that was, I'm because I really do journaling, so what triggers the emotion, whatever. So you can say, like, okay, why did I cry, what triggers it? But there are some that there's really no trigger, it's just like being human. It's really there. So you acknowledge it. I cried, like, again, last Wednesday, like, I cried that there was no tomorrow. Like, I really feel the loss and everything, and I said, okay, what can I do, what are the tools that I have? So I go to my gratitude journal, and after crying for a couple of hours, I'm okay. And then in the evening, I cried again, because, oh, we're supposed to be eating together now for our 25th wedding anniversary, and here I am. So, but with help also with friends and everything, we had a virtual dinner or virtual talk with my friends. So that dinner time being alone was cut. So it was kind of very, so grateful again with the technology, that even if you are, the it brings closeness despite of the distance, despite of the miles apart. So
Hmm.
that's my story, and I
I can
walked in
imagine.
right this time.
I can imagine, really, because I can actually understand what you're talking about, especially when you say you cry at some time, especially when, these days with technology, those pictures just pop up,
Yeah, and
those
when
photos
Facebook, like, it will remind you on this day on 20,
on this day, and you
like,
just go
5 years ago, like,
yeah.
yeah,
And
it's just
these days, navigating grief has taught me to be grateful, like you said. I can remember then when it used to be very painful. I was talking about someone this day when I was talking about to someone about it, and it was one of the things we talked about. I said there were days when it just pops up and you just cry all days,
yeah,
and it takes you all week because you really have not accepted.
yeah,
But these days, most times when it happens, you feel bad because the person is not there like you wish, but because you understand that the person has gone to a better place, the person is peaceful, the person needs to be there, the person also desires your peace and your happiness here, you know, you tend to smile and be grateful for
E-
the time you spend together, for the love you share together, for the time and the purpose that God actually, because everyone on earth, our paths cross for a particular reason. And when it crosses, I pray we don't miss the reason why God made us cross paths. So that person's time with you is gone. And so when you realize it that way, then you'll be grateful for the moment, like you said. And I'm really so grateful because now I tend to, because I learned a lot from you, and I think a lot of people, especially those navigating grief or cancer right now,
yeah.
they should learn the gratitude. Because for me, when he was diagnosed of cancer, I didn't learn the gratitude. What I was more, as a black person, what do you do? Prayer. Let us pray God to take it away. I'm not saying God doesn't heal, but
Yeah.
as much as we're praying for healing, let
E-
us also share the love together. Let us
e-
help the person understand his purpose here on earth. Let us join the person, and build something that will help the person understand. Because like my husband, he practiced gratitude all day, every day. But for me,
mm,
I didn't practice gratitude all day.
yeah.
No, I didn't. I didn't practice gratitude. No, but there were days I used to, when maybe we go to the hospital and they say, "Oh, he's improving. Oh God, I'm thankful." You
Yeah.
know, and there are those days you like, "Oh my God, how did we get here?" And you are
And
praying and
you just
wishing
go.
and hoping and believing. While we are doing all that, let us learn to create a path for gratitude. Let us have those moments when we eat together. Let us have those moments when we play together. Let us have those moments because, like my kids, every day my husband, before he was ill, they used to have that together.
Mm,
Even when he travels, they make sure they watch movies together and all that. And when he was ill, they watch movies together. They see those movies together. He created those atmosphere. They talk together. They do all that together. But for me, it was more like eating together,
yeah.
And if we needed to
Memories
sing
together.
together, it needed to be Christian song. That
Yeah.
to be that song of praise to God. That God, you must do it today, because, and I don't blame anybody who is in those shoes, because
And
especially when it just hits you and you don't know what to
you,
do.
you really don't, because no one prepared you, right? No one prepared you to be diagnosed with cancer, and no one
Yeah.
prepared you to be diagnosed with with two cancer, like, back to back as a couple. But what also gratitude and things, preparing for that one is that, you know what, during those, while we're navigating cancer together, we even have this talk, like, what will be the celebration of life looks like, what will be like things.
Hmm.
So for me, it was so powerful, and I'm so humbled because I always want to spend the rest of my life with him. Like, we were together for 25 years, I mean, 25 years as a couple, 21 22 21 point half years as a married couple, because he died. But I'm saying is that we have all these dreams and plans on where we're gonna go, what our 25 anniversary look like and everything. But those were abruptly changed when we were diagnosed. And our planning now is that, what will be the celebration of life look like, because at later part, and it's not fault on their own. And again, I respect, like, I'm raised Catholic, I'm learning Buddhism right now, and not practicing Buddhism, but learning. I practice yoga and stuff. And Jerry, my late husband, he was Baptist, he was born in Missouri and everything. And then later on in life, he became more and more atheist, especially with the last couple of months, when we are diagnosed together, like, what are the odds, right? But I never blame God. I mean, the Catholic foundation in me is always been there and will always gonna be there. But at the same token, it makes me really. And again, one of my friends from France, he shared me this book, The Tibetan's Way of Living and Dying. And helps me accept death more than what when in a different way, or embrace death than my Catholic upbringing was or is. And the reason behind it, because we always, like in the Western world or even in the Philippine world, we don't really talk about that. But the Tibetans' way of living and dying, it's part of their culture that they talk about death. Like as like we're talking about what's the football, or or yeah, things like that. So it becomes easy to talk about, and that really helps me and helps Jerry. And so when we're going through this, like what will be the end of day was, and what's gonna be like, when it's a Michelle, I don't want to be, please promise me that when I cannot swallow anymore because it's esophageal cancer, that don't put me into tube, that I want to die gracefully, that I want to die at house. So he died, we shared our last kiss, Rod. So how, like, for me to say goodbye and sharing the last kiss in our house with me and my four-legged son, or our four-legged son. We have a dog. We don't have a kid, Spike. So it was so powerful, and I honor that. And one way also to honor your loved ones is to continue with living and share, and whatever you and uh, do like some legacy for him also, right? So for me, sharing what we had, with the cancer, how we deal with cancer, how to create a survival kit. That's what I talk about in my gratitude journey, like what does a survival kit looks like for different couples, like a tool. And also, like, how to navigate some medical things when you are having, when your insurance doesn't pay anymore because of all this, how to do that. But every time, like I said, oh my God, Jerry will just say, like, Michelle, be grateful that we have the insurance, because if we didn't, it will be worse. So it's always like that. And it just, so anytime that when things like happen, we have each other. So when he was taken out, like, I know that it's happened, but when it hits, when we shared that last kiss, even if I know, because I was measuring his oxygen, I called the VNA and said, this is a thing. And the last word, when it really hit, there's no preparation for that. Even the gratitude and everything. But the only thing, because again, my journal really helped me. And I go back to my journal. I said, it reminded me when he said that I want to die with grace. I don't want to be die in the tube and everything. I want to die in my own terms. Of course, it's God's will still, but to have that, and to be able to not to be able to see that he did it in his own way, and he is not suffering, and he's not, because the Catholic side of me, speaking of God, I said, oh, maybe I'll go into pilgrims. I go into like all these things, like I'll do a petition, like I will need like all these things that's upbringing. And then it dawned to me, like, that's selfish of me, because if he is suffering and if he cannot eat, then it's not life anymore. So that's when I started to, okay, it's okay to let go. And there was even one time, because he had seizure, couple, because of the it metastasized to the brain. And on his last seizure, because before I always pray, let God please give him another day, and so on and so on. When he had that seizure, and I said, I look and I said, God, if it's not gonna be, then let it be now, because I don't want him to suffer. And that's really, Jerry Overton said that the difference between the mature love and a puppy love, because when it's a mature love, like you don't want that person to, you're no longer thinking of yourself, and that is like what's good, and that's the biggest not aha, but I learning from him, that I take as I go living without him physically, is always finding something to be grateful, even in times you have to dig deeper, that I might not be here physically, but I'm in your heart. And he really made me a better version of myself because of him, because we grew up together, and coming from blended family, our love is also become stronger, because we know how it feels like to be like a table tennis, going to the grandparents of the other one, grandparents to the other one, and all these things. So that's why we have this rule at the house, that we don't, even if we cannot sleep if we have an unresolved issue, because that's gonna lead to another thing. So that's has always been our rule in the house, and it really made me a better version of me, a better daughter to my dad, a better niece to my aunt that raised me, and hopefully grow every day, be a better person, and serving the community. So okay, I don't want to cry. So I cannot. So I'm wearing glasses now, so it will filter my crying.
I know, right? I know it can be so
Yeah,
painful sometimes. And
yeah,
I understand basically what you're talking about and hmm,
yeah. No.
as well.
I
So
told I just cried a couple of days ago, okay?
no, I know. It
I
has to
know, I know.
those tears needs to come down. And that is the real reason why we make this sharing. We make people share so that those things deep down, those tears you need to share them, no problem. It's natural. It's part of the healing process.
I know.
If you need to cry, cry. If you need to weep, weep. If you need to roll, roll. If you need to sing, sing. So that's it. And I'm so, because sharing your story has really brought back a lot. And I know a lot of people are really like listening and they got a lot of stuff from you. And I can imagine what what it was like, knowing that sacrificing your own for him. And before I go into that, because you brought up one part that I would just want to reiterate. If you've not listened to that podcast or seen the video on YouTube, you can go check it out. Where we talked I think we did it some episodes ago, where for the listeners, you can go check it out, where we talked about planning your own funeral before the day. And
Yeah.
it is very key. I learned a lot from that episode because I was one person that really didn't believe in
You need to
planning.
plan for your own funeral.
Yes, you have to. It's very
Yeah,
important. You have to
it's really
have. I
important.
remember then my husband used to say, he had a book, he wrote everything. And when I was grieving because of his cancer, I didn't know when I packed all those stuff and I trashed them. I didn't know that he wrote all those stuff in a book, and I was looking for so much, and I just took everything and I put them in the trash. I was like, "Where's my book?" He has planned. Okay, this is what I want. This is what I want. This is what he knew exactly what he wanted. All those period, he was making plans, and those things he said. Most of those things he said are the things we're working with now. But I
Yeah.
wasn't prepared to hear those stories.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't prepared to hear him talk about, oh, what will happen if I'm not alive too. Who told you you're not going to be alive? How can you say you're not going to be alive? Who are you leaving these poor boys for? Huh? No,
Yeah.
you have to live for us. And I like there's a part you talked about where you said we shouldn't be selfish. Now I'm beginning to realize that maybe I was selfish. I was thinking more about
No,
me
but
and my
we are
boy.
human. We are
you
human.
know.
That's
But
part
I
of
was because at that point, which is normal, I'm talking because I
yeah.
know why I'm saying this because I know there are people in my shoes that now that may be in those shoes. Consider everything, put everything on a round table and put everything on a slate and consider everybody. You, your kids, yourself, the partner, everyone,
Yeah.
and put us, even with God and everything, put everything together and that's the only way you'll be able to have a sane mind to do something. And I was talking with my other board members today. I was telling them, I said, see, there's one thing I learned in my journey with cancer. I learned that the caregivers don't have tools on how to navigate cancer, the grief from cancer.
Yeah.
So
And
nobody talks to you about it.
yeah.
Nobody shares anything with
Yeah.
you how you
Because the
can.
caregiver is overwhelmed. And imagine me, I'm a caregiver and I'm also a cancer patient. So that's
Hmm,
even double whammy.
yes, I can imagine.
And the thing with a caregiver though, and I share from my experience, is that when you when you care for someone that's terminal, or when you're caring for someone that's terminal or cancer, your grief actually starts the moment of the diagnosis.
That is it.
It's not the day that he died or she died. It's true that
Mm-hmm.
because you're losing the things that you start doing together. So little by little, from chemotherapy to radiation, from all these things, it starts, and that's hard, and no one talks about that too. Like the grief counseling happens when it
Yes.
happens, but there's really, and there's this bridge between that now. So, and thank you for mentioning that, Tris, and I didn't mean to interrupt, because throughout this, what I'm doing is that when I was, and I'm still grieving, I wrote this like a workshop, like finding gratitude through grieving, because as I told you, I'm journalizing it, and I want to share it to everybody once it's really ready, like more shareable than my handwriting, right? I'm putting it in Canva, but how do I feel? Like, how do I take care of myself? Because as a caregiver, it's really important for you to take care of yourself, that you're not going to be emotionally, financially, mentally borne out. And what are those steps? And that's what I'm at, in my, is also to really and finding gratitude even when you're caregiving, the self-care, the self-awareness, like, and that you don't feel guilty taking X amount of time. And I'm so grateful with Jerry, because there's even a time and that he would say, go out, go see your friends, I can handle this, I will text you. Because you need, we always say, like, you need to have your time so you'll be able to take care of me and us,
Hmm.
like, so, and all those little things. So, and that's why, like, okay, okay, what
No, I know.
yeah, but it's really that, so
Yeah, because talking about that, because that was what my late husband used to do, Emmanuel. He would be like, "Hmm, see, you grieving. You need time for yourself.
yeah,
Forget about me. Forget about the kids. Go
yeah,
take some time out." And
yeah.
I'm like, take time out? Yeah, with what I'm saying. So we don't take time out. We pray. We
Yeah,
make sure everything, it must work. You must be healed. You must stand up. You
yeah.
know, you must be you again. I can leave you.
And then
So
when
we
you
need
become,
to, we
sorry,
need to understand that as caregivers, that you need to take care of yourself.
you need, yeah, you
You
need to
have a
take,
life too. And
you
then he used to tell me, if you don't stop now, you will die before me. I'm like, how is that going to be possible?
exactly.
But that was true because I was overwhelmed. I was gone. I was gone. I was drained, because everything emotionally and physically, I was drained. And so I feel there must be someone there. And this is your position right now. Take that break, seek help. This is the right time to go for the grief counseling. This is the right time to talk to somebody. This is the right time to find the right tools. And I think the hospitals, they need to do more about that. Talking to, at least enlightening people about when the caregivers on how to have self-care for themselves. How to take care of themselves while they're taking care of the other person is very key. So I can really
Self-care is
imagine,
not selfish.
yes, I can imagine everything, how you've been. And so that takes me to this question, which is looking back, is there a moment in your journey where you felt God's presence the most? And even when it was so hard to see Him through the pain? And is there also a time in your journey where you hated God, like you wanted to let go of His presence? So,
Uh,
how did you navigate all these
how
things?
do I navigate that? I never hated God. I only question that, but I never hated him. And then later on, I realized that everything happened for a reason, and that you don't. Sometimes the reason is not in front of you, but in time it will be revealed to you. So that's that. Um, the first question was with the presence of God. So um, when, as I told you, when Jerry had that last seizure before, thing, that when I pray that if it's, this is the time, then let it be, and if it's not, then let him be able to come back, like, be able to still talk, because because there was a time that he cannot talk with a brain seizure, like limited capacity, because we still have to finish because we know that we're in borrowed time. Really, that's really the bottom line. But he wants to finish certain things in the house. He was an interior finish carpenter, so I never really did anything in the house outside and everything. And I know that he wants me to prepare like how to the maintenance in the house that I could do on that survival guidebook that he created for me. And it was so important to him to finish that because he knows that it will be helpful for me. And my survival guide to him was all in finance because I'm in the finance industry. So that being said, and when he was able to recover after that seizure that with I thought that I really feel that God was there and answered my prayers because after that, Jerry was really okay. Like it was the same Jerry that I know, unless there's a chemo or the radiation. But he was able to finish the basement downstairs, the bathroom downstairs, and added things. So and I know that it's not that my prayers were answered.
Okay. So do you want to share? I'm just asking, like the survival guide
Yeah,
with our listeners. Maybe it may be helpful for
yeah.
some of them.
Yeah, so the survival guide is really because it's so specific to me, right? So specific to us. So I will share you what the concept of a survival guide is, and I will share it to you. So it could be different for couples. So what it really looks like, or the gist of it, is that we write down first what he did in the house and what I did in the house. Like for me, I did all the payments, I did all the billings and stuff, and then so after that, like, okay, what are the things that overlap? Because the things that overlap, we don't need a survival guide for that one. So the first thing in my survival guide for Jer, for instance, that if I die ahead of you, you have to secure X amount of death certificate because the insurance, the bank requires original one. So those are the things that I mean by sir. And then for him, like if I die before you, Michelle, like you need, like if like he was even in saying to me, speaking about God and his gratitude, like when we were he wasn't okay, we did our holding hands together like a sculpture September 30, and then October 5th, that's when he wasn't able to talk, and then he died on October 11 of that that's but when on that September 30 of 2021, he really said to me that we need to finish our survival guide. We need to do hold our hands because I don't have the gas in me to make it through the end of the year. I don't want to die in November because it's your birth month. I don't want to die in December because I don't want to ruin Christmas. It has to be next month. And it
Hmm.
was just like, I mean, my friends, we call it like the flawless execution of how he wants to die and how he wants to take and how to he prepares me. So he even said, like, like as far as how to do the leaves, like the raking the leaves, when to turn off the sprinkler system, when to turn it on, like in the spring, like how to clean the chimney, how to open your garage door when the because here in New England, when we have so much snowstorm or a blizzard that we have power outage that we cannot open. I mean, we lost power. So and then before it was him that almost saying I'm short. So it's fun. It's like when you open your garage when there's no electricity, get your aerobic step on it because you're short. Then pull this like it's really like that. So that's kind of the survival guy. Like when you clean the chimney, my friends will say turn it left, but no, ours is right. So that's the thing. So that's what I mean. So it's really different each household because of what he does or you do for him or her. So that's
Basically, is what each person does for the other person. So
exactly that's what a survival guide is. Yeah.
yeah, so I think that is key for people to, especially for couples and families,
Yeah.
even especially when you have kids too,
Yeah.
to have like a survival guide. What if I cannot do this thing? This is what you can
Exactly.
do.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that is key that people should have in their homes. Thank you so much for sharing today. I was really blessed.
And so
And
humble.
how can people reach you?
So people can
Oh,
reach me. I have an Instagram. It's called Simwa Michelle Ferguson, and that's where I shared my gratitude practice, my upcoming events as an author. You could also in my website simwamichelleferguson.com, and here you could email me from there and everything and all the upcoming events, authors talk, and some gratitude workshop that I do. It will be plugged in there as well. And through Ruth as well. You could reach me there, or you could email. You could email me. Yeah. So it's Simwa Michelle Ferguson, and I use the Simwa because when I did like Michelle Ferguson, there is so much Michelle Ferguson, and I'm learning French, and this is how preparing. So this is how how selfless he is. He said to me, "When I die, Michelle, or before he died, he said, I want you to find something that you are passionate about that will keep you occupied when I'm gone. That's not gonna be." And he knows that I love languages, and he knows that I love French. So he said, "Why won't you learn French again?" And it's also so I always look at it like, cancer, as heartful as painful as it is, it opens door to many other opportunities. It, we didn't I didn't know how strong I was until I was tested, and it really literally brings our love closer. And we've been married for 21 years before that, but those 2.5 years are the best magical
Hmm.
moment of our lives, because and even with COVID, because then it was just really us and God and us and our four-legged son Spike, and we have so much intimate memories, like intimate meaning like not that intimate, but really emotional, spiritual intimacy that helps me carry through life as I navigate without him physically right now.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. So it's theme one.
Yeah, same
Can
one,
you
Michelle Ferguson. Yes.
like spell?
I can write down in the chat, or
Okay, yes. Can I write it in the chat so I can put it up here?
so this is my my Instagram, as well as my Facebook page, as well as my website. We just have to add com in the same one, Michelle Ferguson, and that's the website. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is my book.
Oh, you almost forgot that.
So this is my book, A Love Like Ours. So thank you, Jess. So this is it's available in Amazon, and one of the things that I'm my vision, and maybe this is why the reason why we met also speaking about caregiver, is really I want to create a foundation, or the process of the book to help caregivers navigate not only the emotional aspect of being like a self, like a safe place for caregiver to really pour their things, like when you are sad or mad or whatever you feel while you're taking care of your loved ones, or like you do like this, that environment I want to create, and also navigate some of the things. Like the best example I could share you with, and I know I'm gonna make it quick to be mindful of time. Like when you are especially when you're taking care of, so like you have this prescription, right, drugs that's really important you have to take, and then your insurance all of a sudden like, oh, we're not gonna carry that anymore, so you're gonna pay out of pocket of $850 a month. I said, okay, what am I gonna do with $850 a month, and blah blah blah. Then I found out in a very hard way that there's some ways that you could call that, you could call the pharmaceuticals and everything, that instead of paying 850, I ended up paying $10. The other thing also, and Jerry, and this is why I'm really advocating for this. We get a bill. I'm not going to mention the hospital and everything, but so anytime that we have testing for whatever test for my cancer or his cancer, because I'm in finance, I always call the insurance with the code, like, is it insurance approved, what's the copay, etc., etc. Okay. Then the test was done. His oncologist, or our oncologist, because we have the same oncologist team, sent us to this hospital to do this test and everything. 8 months after that, we get a bill for $69,500 because they said that the insurance doesn't cover it anymore. So after X amount of phone calls, I found out, because sometimes hospitals, they bill 3 months, 6 months apart, right? So the test was done in March. They changed the insurance coverage in June. It's not my fault that they didn't bill me in March or something. But the thing of it is that Jerry, because the bill was sent to me, because I was the one carrying, he was under my insurance. He said to me, Michelle, I'm so grateful that it's you that's handling our finances, because if it's me, I will just pay this bill or call the hospital and work on a payment. And this is where it dawned to me, regardless of political affiliation and everything, why is there a lot of middle class American go into medical bankruptcy because of
Hmm.
that? And that is really what I'm more really near and dear close to my heart, because it happened to me. And that lingering voice of Jerry keeps on, anytime that I'm talking to a client or talking about this, it really, that voice of Jerry, that if it was me, I would just pay it because I didn't know any better how to navigate. And if it happens to my husband, who for X amount of years knows finance because of me and how to, he even said that, how much
Hmm.
more to other people that doesn't have it. And when you're a caregiver and you're taking care of someone, or you're a cancer patient yourself, your main thing is to take care of you and survive, right? You're like, okay, then nothing.
Yeah.
So so that's the why behind it too. that I, which
Wow. Thank you
I
for
don't know.
sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, because this particular thing you just talked about was one of the things I was sharing with my nonprofit this morning. And we were talking about caregivers and the bills and how people can navigate most of these things, because I think people are taking up the hospitals and the insurance, they take advantage of people who are sick, especially those who have cancer.
Yeah.
And at some point, you have to pay out of pocket.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Now
I know
these
what
people
I know what
die
it is. Yeah.
and they leave their family in debt
Yeah.
because they had a lot of bills. They used up their whole life finances, savings
Exactly.
to take care of themselves. So we were talking about it because my nonprofit, Echoes of Life, is for cancer and their family, the patients and their families. So like I'm really particular about the family, because the patient has resources, but the family, the caregivers, the children, they don't have resources on how to manage most of these things.
Exactly.
I
And how
tell
to
you,
navigate.
when
Yeah.
my husband was ill, my late husband, we
Mhm.
did not know nothing about all these things, and we had to do it the crude way,
Yeah.
paying, you know, or they bring the bill, you just pay. We didn't even really know, because insurance won't tell you what they cover and what they don't cover.
Yeah.
So at some
Exactly. And
point,
they could change in the middle of the game.
they change in between. Before you do like this, they've already changed it. And you're like, oh my
Exactly.
God, that was part of the plan.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
so just so much, I tell you. So I'm really glad that you really shared some of these things. It means that God really wanted us to share this part of it. That was why I had everything I discussed with people before this meeting all came up again in this discussion, and I'm really glad that you're here. But I am going to, like I promised, I'm going to pray today for somebody. I'm going to pray for somebody. I don't know who that person is, but I know that there's someone that needs this prayer this moment. And whatever it is that you're going through, God is going to do something. And at grief to grace, we move from grief to grace, and you will move from grief to grace. So if you don't mind, I will be singing first before I pray. You are who you are yesterday, today, and forever. What you say is what you do. You never change, you never change. You are faithful to the end. Faithful God, I worship you. I worship you. You are too faithful to fail me. You are too faithful to disappoint me. You've proven yourself in my life. Lord, I've come to realize you are too faithful to fail me. Father, we just want to say thank you. We've spoken about gratitude and why we should be grateful for all that you do, for all we're going through, for all your promises in our lives. Father, we just want to say thank you. Because we know that you are too faithful to fail. You are too faithful to disappoint us. You are too faithful to leave us empty. You are too faithful to leave us halfway. Father, we know that you bring true healing. Tonight, we just want to pray that that healing that we desire, that healing that this person that's listening right now and watching right now, that healing that he desires, that specific healing. I don't know what it is, but I had this unction in my spirit from the beginning of this podcast to pray for this person. Father, let that thing that you want to do, let it be done in his life in the name of Jesus. And we pray that you will bring solutions to all the problems and you will grant them peace on every side. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for what you're doing for the community. Thank you for keeping strong, even in these moments. It's really not easy. Like I always tell people, if someone comes to you and tells you, you see, this is the roadmap to this to how you can navigate grief and it's going to stop today. You see, I've written it down. You just follow it like this and you follow it. It's a roadmap. And if you start it like this, it's going to end like this. Run away because it doesn't work that way. Everybody's grief is different. But what we encourage people to do is taking that first step, that step to healing, and being conscious, making the conscious effort to ensure that you work your way to true healing. And I tell you, if I could be healed, you can be healed. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm not going to leave this place without giving you that nugget that we always give, the three things I learned from this Michelle's discussion today on greater grace is one, gratitude in the midst of pain can be one of the most powerful tools to healing. Then, secondly, supporting a loved one while fighting your own battles teaches us the depth of sacrificial love. And the third one is finding purpose after loss can lead to some of the most transformative growth in our lives. Thank you. So it takes us to our Bible verse. we, I don't know why God is bringing it up again, and that is the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in the spirit. So if you have given up on God, don't worry. Remember that even in your deepest grief, God is near and his grace is enough to carry you through. And this is not just about us, it's about the love and peace that God gives. And one of the favorite quotes I can't say give right now from Michelle's story is gratitude turns what we have into enough. So Michelle's story has really taught us the truth, and I want to believe and I hope that it resonates with you as deep as it did with me. So, today I have this last question for you. For everyone listening today, as you're listening to me, you're watching me, you can write this down, you can meditate on it on your own, and it is, what is that one thing you are grateful for, even in the midst of your grief? Put it down. It will help you. And if you go an extra mile to send me a DM on grief to grace now at gmail.com that I answered this question and I've written out these three things or this one thing that I'm grateful for, we're going to send you a workbook as a token of our gratitude. So you write it, I've done this, and you just write workbook and we will send it to you. So thank you for listening today, but don't forget to purchase a copy of my book, which is a pen that rewrites grief, and you will also receive that 1 hour session with me to help you rewrite your own story. So don't forget to subscribe or to follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, and also on Spotify
I
and
will.
Apple. So join us on Grief to Grace community as we continue to move from being stuck to being unstuck, finding grace in every step of our journey. So today, I don't know if you have one last word you want to share with our listeners today. So we call it a day.
Thank you so much, Ruth. And I look forward in more collaboration with you. I'm gonna follow you definitely. And thank you for the questions. And if there's any way that I could help you, it's Simwa Michelle Ferguson at gmail.com or in the Instagram, Simwa Michelle Ferguson, DM me and I'll be more than happy to talk about anything, how to finding gratitude, even in grieving.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, I have to go. See you later. Thanks, Ruth.
Yeah.
Bye.